Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
You know, in your spare time, when you're helping out, writing with artists and doing all these things, you've come up with a solo EP, Forgotten Toys.
Yes. This has been ideas that have been kicking around in my head for a long time, or in my little treasure chest of odds and ends here in the studio that I've recorded, because we all have, a lot of people have studios right now with Pro Tools in them. So it makes it easier to organize all the stuff and to keep it for longer periods of time. So it was fun kind of going back and dusting off some old gems and fitting them together like a puzzle, pieces of a puzzle. And Joseph Williams, my co-producer, helped me frame it.
I'll tell you what, all of the tracks are amazing. I was telling you before we started the interview, even David, I particularly like Lucy, that has, I feel, is a nod to your father, Marty Paich, the jazz, legend. And then also Queen Charade. But all the songs on here are so very different and just sound great.
Yeah, well, I try to show a different side of myself. I have a very limited vocal range, so I have to invent melodies that I can sing. You know what I mean? Because I'm not a high singer. Luckily, I had the help of Joseph Williams and Monet Owens to help sing background on those. And it's always just a challenge to do it, but it's so much fun.
Well, and you brought some other major guests on here also, David, that you've worked with over the years. It's kind of like a who's who of friends who hopped on this solo EP with you.
It is. Mike McDonald, who I've known for years, came immediately. He was one of the first people that I called for it. Don Felder, who I'm very good friends with, who wrote Hotel California, played slide guitar on Queen Charade. And Nathan, from Nathan East to Greg Bissonette and Steve Lukather. I mean, I've invited my friends to play on it too. So from Ray Parker Jr., so just some of the people.
But I mean, you've done 17 albums, and I think they've sold over 40 million albums worldwide. Yeah. You're in the billions on the streams. What does it feel like with the legacy of Toto, with a band that you started, back in 1977 as a founding member, and that the music is still holding up, David?
That's really a dream come true. I mean, we didn't expect to last this long. I mean, doing it. Longevity is a very tough thing in the music business. And we were lucky enough to come through on the other side here and make it so where we're still out there playing and still swinging upward here and making music together. So I can't ask for more than that.
Well, and I want to talk a little bit again about your dad, Marty, and I know how much of a big influence he was and that you guys even worked on the theme from Ironside. But what was it like when he first introduced you to Jimmy Webb?
Oh, that was magical because no one knew who Jimmy Webb was. He was just 17 years old, had glasses on, short hair, and he was just a genius writing these songs. I was fascinated. It was really my first love as a songwriter was Jimmy Webb songs. And that's why I felt I had an inkling that I could start writing songs, because I felt a companionship, a bond with him, with his soul, with the way he writes music. And so it was a real eye opener or ear opener, as the case may be.
Yeah, exactly. What I was going to say also, your father, was kind of pushing you in that way also because he, was impressed with the poetry and everything you were writing already before you started doing songs.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad recognized that I had a little bit of gift for rhyming words. So he kept me interested in poetry and English literature and tried to keep me pushing me forward to be a songwriter because he thought that I had some of those gifts. And I'm glad that he did.
And obviously he was right. And then I've got to bring this up, David. It was like, what was the turning point for you when you saw Elton John in 1970 and you're like, maybe I need to be an artist?
Yeah, that was, I had been working on a record on one single thing to try and get a solo deal at the time. And when Elton John came out, it just was like that's what I want to do for a living. I want to be like Elton does, which is write your own music, sing it, and perform it on stage. So that was definitely a magical moment in my career.
Well, speaking of which, David, some of our viewers may not realize that besides, this incredible solo album EP you've got out, and also your work with Toto, that you are on over, I believe, 2,000 albums and have worked with such artists on their songs such as Dolly, Michael Jackson, 2 of the Steely Dan albums, Aretha Franklin, Tina Turner, and Elton John. What does it feel like for you to be able to, these legends that you listen to and idolized, and then you're working with them on their albums and songs? What's that like, David?
Oh, it's like the ultimate, because you realize you've been influenced by these master people, these legends, and then when you get to work with them, it's just like it's even elevates you to a higher plane. It's like rarefied air when you get to work with great artists, and that's some of the magic that I miss about the studios, was that everybody would be playing live, cutting with the artists, singing live before, where now a lot of it gets piecemealed one at a time. Mm-hmm. They put the tracks together one at a time with the singers. But those were some magical times when you were in the studio listening to Fagan sing or Aretha Franklin sing.
Just amazing. Well, I wanted to bring this up too, David, to where one of the things that always impressed me, keeping up with your career early on, was that you never shied away from new technology in keyboards and in recording and everything. In fact, you embraced it. Yes. Whereas, some artists back in the day were kind of leery of it. And in fact, you integrated it into your songs. I mean, I was telling you, I was driving into the TV station this morning, knowing I'm going to interview you, and Africa by Toto plays on the radio. Yeah. And then right after that, Michael Jackson, who you worked with also.
Right.
But the technology, you were never afraid of that.
Never. And that was thanks to, in part, Steve Porcaro kept me with the motto, new music for new instruments for new music. And that's, if you make new sounds, you can create new songs with those new sounds. And that's exactly what happened on Africa, And Steve had a gift for synthesis. He was the most incredible synthesis I've ever met. And he helped tweak the sounds on Africa on the little kalimba parts, and basically tweaked all the synthesized sounds that you've heard on Toto records. And that's his fabulous solo on Rosanna that you hear, that made it so, lifted it so magically, So we've totally embraced technology. Like I said, you have to combine science with the music, as Quincy Jones always says.
Who you've worked with also. Now, I got to bring this up. Listening to Forgotten Toys, and I mean, the whole EP is so cohesive, but I couldn't help but feel, David, that it was a little bit autobiographical too. And I know that one of the songs came from your dreams, and you felt the need to turn this into a song also. Yeah,
that was Spirit of the Moonrise. I had a piece of a dream, and I told Joseph about it. So he told me to write that down, and I did, and it started working on a narrative for it, and he fleshed it out. And we came up with this song, and it's kind of a blur and everything, but I was able to articulate it to him enough to where he was able to get a hold on it. And it's part of the fun is in the process of songwriting, going back and forth with Joseph and myself, because we have such good shorthand and good history.
Well, now I've got to ask you too, David, who came up with the great cover for this EP? Because I felt like it looked like a box of my toys from back in the day, to where it's a little bit of hodgepodge of everything, which I like.
That one I have to give my wife credit, Lorraine. That's her idea, was to have all these little toys on the front. And she is a food stylist, so she does tabletop miniatures. She works with them a lot. Wow. And these are all toys we had collected, and she had collected from the past. And she just brought out a little box with all those toys in it and set them all up. And that's basically her shop and her concept. Amazing. Well, it really blends so well with the music and everything else you accomplished in this. I got to ask you, David, with 50 years in a music career, which is hard to believe, and particularly back when, you co-founded Toto and everything, you came out with this new solo album. What's next? I mean, you're not slowing down any. No. Well, thank you. I'll just keep writing and keep practicing and try and be the best musician I can. be the best songwriter. I don't think you ever get there as a songwriter. I think you can only keep polishing your craft. So I'm just going to keep working hard.
Well, I'll tell you what, we love it. I want to make sure for our viewers also, David, with Forgotten Toys, that they know where to go to your website, to social media. I know you're probably going to be possibly out on the road again next year, but I want to make sure that they can find this album, download it, however they consume music, and enjoy this.
Yes. You can probably find it on the Toto website, toto.com, and Spotify you'll be able to find it on. It comes out August 19th. And that's about all I know for right now.
Well, you know, and it'd be nice if it came out on vinyl too, maybe a collector edition.
It is. I know it's coming out on vinyl too and CD. Believe it or not, there's still hard copies out there that are coming out. So it will be. You just reminded me.
I'm waiting to see the documentary on your life also, David.
Oh my God. I know Ray Parker did one and David Foster did one. So
I think it's your turn.
Well, think about it. Thank you. Thanks for the interest.
Well, I'll tell you what, David Paich, thank you so much for coming on the Rock Interview. Be sure and get your own copy. Download all the tracks from this incredible EP, Forgotten Toys by David Paich. And thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank all of our viewers, fans out there for all the support and love all these years.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of a Bobby Bones Show.